I honestly believe if Nate Diaz would have knocked out Leon Edwards in the end of the 5th round the way he almost did, he would honestly be the biggest name in mixed martial arts in terms of the UFC. He would honestly be the biggest name. I mean, think about it. Right now, the Diaz brothers are getting a lot of hype because Nick Diaz, the older brother out of the Diaz brothers, is thinking about making a comeback. So if Nate Diaz would have knocked out Leon Edwards, that would have been absolutely massive. Because for some reason the UFC community and mixed martial arts community in general have got this entirely crazy fascination when it comes to the Diaz brothers, whether it is their like out of the octagon persona, the way they carry themselves, the fact that every fight of theirs is an absolute war and they're both covered in blood after every fight, the fact that they like to smoke weed, the fact that they've got this gangster persona, the way they carry themselves, whatever the reason is, for some reason they've also got this anti-hero persona about themselves. Like if you look at like Conor McGregor was like the golden boy in terms of the UFC roster. He was like the guy that was getting all the marketing dollars, and he was the guy that the UFC was really pushing to really take over the sport. And Nate Diaz was seen as the kind of anti-hero. He was the guy that was, even though like he did win the Tough series, I think he won season 1 or season 2 or one of the seasons previously, he wasn't really pushed by the UFC really. If you think about it, like when he fought Michael Johnson, he only got paid 40k. Now the average guy in the street, they might think 40k is a lot of money, but it's actually not. If you take into account taxes, and on top of that you got paid training expenses and stuff, you're probably going to walk away with 20k, probably 25k if you're lucky. So him getting paid 25k to fight a great fighter like Michael Johnson, and say what you like about Michael Johnson, his record might not look that great in terms of his resume and the people that he's beaten. He's beaten Dustin Poirier, he's beaten Tony Ferguson. Michael Johnson, whether you like it or not, is a decent fighter. He's a fighter that can give anyone a tough time, and on top of that he could beat anyone, but he can also be beat by anyone. But I digress right now. My point is this: the fact that Nate Diaz only got paid 40k against the likes of Michael Johnson, it is appalling if you take into account what he's done in the sport. But my point is this, right? Because of his underdog status, and when Dana White actually said previously that he wasn't a needle mover, when he came out and he started calling out Conor McGregor, and then he came and he beat Conor McGregor, his superstardom went through the roof. Like this guy became like this superstar. And then after that, he became one of the biggest names in mixed martial arts. But if he would have beaten Leon Edwards in the 5th round, the way he almost did, if he would have stopped him and finished him, instead of pointing at him, if he started attacking him even more and he just stopped the guy, then I actually think Nate Diaz would be the biggest name in mixed martial arts. The reason is because he's already got this huge following. A lot of people follow him. Just to put it into perspective, he got paid $1 million, around $1 million and more, to fight Leon Edwards. The fact that he got paid that much money shows how much the UFC value him in terms of what they think about him. On top of that, he got paid that much money, and he just to put it into perspective, Leon Edwards, I think he got paid about 250k, something like that, which is good money, but I mean compared to $1.5 million, it's not that good. And if you take into account that type of money that he's made, he's taken the reason why he's making that type of money is because of the value that he brings. He brings a lot of eyeballs to the sport. A lot of people love to watch Nick Diaz fight. I mean, Nick Diaz made Jorge Masvidal into a star. After Jorge Masvidal beat Nick Diaz, that's when he became a huge star. Now, before that, he had a bit of momentum because he knocked out Ben Askren and he beat Darren Till, and he knocked out Darren Till, and he had a few good performances here and there. But after he beat Nate Diaz, that's when he became a huge star. That's why he got 1 million pay-per-view buys, and he got such a big front row seat to fight Usman the first time. Apparently he secured his family future with the payday that he made against Usman. So yeah, in my opinion, Nate Diaz, sorry, I've been mixing their names up, I'm sure, throughout this whole video. Nick Diaz is one of the biggest names in mixed martial arts at this point in time. But if he would have beaten Leon Edwards and he knocked him out in the 5th round after getting outboxed for the whole fight, I think his infamy would have grown even more, and he would have been the biggest name in mixed martial. He would have been one of the biggest names in the UFC. I mean, Leon Edwards is one of the most underrated fighters, and Leon Edwards is a fighter that nobody wants to fight. Like, other fighters have fought him, but he's not a fighter that you want to call out because he is really good, and he's an underrated fighter. And on top of that, he is one of the top welterweights in the world. So for Nate Diaz, who, because of his popularity, gets matched up against these fighters, but he's not seen as the top welterweight, for him to knock out Leon Edwards would have been a huge scalp, especially when you take into account for the previous 4 or 5 rounds he was getting outboxed and outclassed and outslicked by Leon Edwards. But if that would have happened, I think he would have been one of the biggest names in the UFC. And the reason is because Conor McGregor right now, whether you like it or not, is declining. I mean, he's lost his last 2-3 fights against Dustin Poirier and obviously Khabib and Floyd Mayweather, and he's got a lot of popularity, but the narrative has changed. A lot of people just don't like Conor McGregor, and he obviously every time he fights, he's going to get a million pay-per-view buys because he's such a big star, and he's crossed over to pop culture. But he's not really liked the way Nate Diaz is. Nate Diaz, if he was to get that win against Leon Edwards, would have been seen as a big star. His stardom would have turned tenfold. He would have been one of the biggest stars in the UFC without a shadow of doubt. If you take into account the popularity that he has now, his brother Nick Diaz coming back, if he would have knocked out Leon Edwards in that 5th round, I think he would have been the biggest star. So yeah, that's my opinion. Tell me your opinion. What do you think about that? What do you think would have happened if he would have knocked out Leon Edwards? Do you think he would have got a title shot? I think he might have got a title shot. I think Kamaru Usman would have destroyed him, but you just never know with Nick Diaz. He always finds a way to sometimes upset the apple cart and get a win. I mean, who would have thought that he would have beaten Conor McGregor, who at the time was the golden boy for the UFC at that time? Conor McGregor was at the height. I wouldn't say he was at the height, but he was near the top of his popularity. The top of his popularity was after the Eddie Alvarez fight, in my opinion, which was obviously after he fought Nick Diaz and beat him. So yeah, that's my opinion. What's your opinion? Tell me what you think would have happened if Leon Edwards would have got knocked out by Nate Diaz in that 5th round. Let's just say instead of pointing at him, he went for it and he really knocked him out and he put him on his ass and he stopped him. What do you think would have happened? How popular do you think Nate Diaz would have been at that point? I think he would have been one of the most popular names in the UFC at that point. But yeah, that's my opinion. Tell me your opinion. Like and subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot more content coming your way. Peace out.